A Wrinkle in Time, more like a waste of time. Welcome to Opinionated, I'm Noel Neckberg, and this is our first video, so that's cool. But what is this channel? Well, I'll describe it to you in 3 terms. Informative, funny, Catholics only. Just kidding, anybody can watch this channel, it's all inclusive. A video explaining this channel a little bit better will be coming out shortly, but for now, you're stuck with me.
You were a top student, but look at you now. You can't keep using your father's disappearance as an excuse to act out.
Is that his work? What's it about?
Their dad, he wanted to touch the stars.
A Wrinkle in Time is the new live-action Disney film directed by Ava DuVernay and is based on the book written by Madeleine. I saw this film yesterday, and I've had an entire day to think about it, and the more I think about it, the more I'm struggling to stay positive in this review. But you know what, let's start with the things that I like about the movie. The movie looks fantastic. The way they move the camera, the way they frame the camera, it's so different from what a Hollywood movie would normally do, and that's awesome. The colors are really vibrant and beautiful. They boosted the saturation way up. The CGI is actually pretty good for the most part. There's just a couple of scenes where you can tell that it's fake, but for the most part, it looks real enough. And that actually leads me into my next thing, that this film was actually shot on location in real places for a lot of it. The cast and crew went down to New Zealand to shoot a big portion of the movie. The costume design, the production design, they have these three old women, the Golden Girls, and they're all dressed in their dresses, and the dresses, I've said dresses so many times, and the dresses look really fantastic. I also really appreciated the morale of the cast and crew. Everybody seems like they really care about the project they're working on, and they're really trying to make this a great movie. I mean, they failed, but so it's really hard for me to say that this isn't a good movie, because people actually spend lots of time and effort working on this. But obviously, if there's no constructive criticism on films don't get better. Speaking of the cast and crew, we can't go on without talking about Oprah, right? Woo! Best part of the movie. She wasn't even good in it, but hey, it's Oprah. Best part of the movie. And even better, she is actually like 50 feet tall in the movie. A giant Oprah. Much less just Oprah in general. Giant Oprah. What more could he ask for? If this movie was just giant Oprah, it would be perfect. I would love it. Alright, and on that note, let's get into the things that I didn't like. How do I put this? The script, it's not good. It's so easy to say that, though. It's so easy to say a script isn't good or a movie isn't good. It's not easy to say why. It's very messy, especially towards the ending. It gets all jumbled and it drags on for way too long. Everything is so generic. There's nothing really new about this besides its actual story, but that's from the book. So with such an interesting story from the book, it's sad to see that they just turned it into the most generic thing they could have done. Because when you have a book to turn into a movie, you still need to adapt it into a movie. And books are much longer than scripts, so they needed to decide what stays in and what stays out. And because of that, it very much so feels like a summary of the book, not the actual thing. You're just getting a good taste of what the book has. This may sound weird, but the movie is too short. It doesn't take its time to develop its characters and its ideas. Everything is so quick and not impacting, and that results in a short, fun, fast-paced movie, but then it also results in poor characters and poor world building. If the movie was longer, I could get more attached to this girl that we follow and all the side characters around her. Because I didn't care about any of them. There was no reason for me to care if these people lived or died, or they succeeded or failed. There's also some very pointless scenes. Some scenes are just there because they were in the book and they feel like they need to put it in the movie. And also some scenes are just there because it would look good in a trailer. Everything just feels forced. Everything in the script is very forced, cliche, and predictable. Now, while all that sounds terrible, it isn't that bad because you have a likable cast and you have a very well shot movie. But then, once it gets to the third act, everything falls apart. No spoilers, but they introduce a bad guy And it just doesn't work at all. They introduce this bad guy, and then Meg has to defeat it. And it's just so slow, predictable, it's boring. We know how this is gonna end. Stop shoving your message into our face. The message of the film is to love who you are and to love everybody around you, and it's so forced. It doesn't feel earned at all. And that last scene drags on for so long. I know I said this movie needed to be longer, but that part either needed to be shortened or rewritten completely. You don't have to follow beat by beat what the book says. You can do something new. Not all books were made to be adapted into movies. All right, that's enough. Let's talk about the... I mean, besides Giant Oprah, who is just fantastic, it should be called A Wrinkle in Oprah, and it's this comedy movie about Oprah in her senior years and how she's getting too old for this. That's a catchphrase. I'm getting too old for this. But besides Giant Oprah, the acting's not good. No one in this movie is good. Most of the actors are okay. You have the three Golden Girls, right? Reese Witherspoon, Mindy Kaling or Kelly from The Office, and then our girl Oprah. Mindy Kaling is fine. She doesn't have to spit out any cringy dialogue like the rest of the cast does, but besides this one part where she has to go, "Dang, girl!" But then you have Reese Witherspoon, and she's awful in this movie. But there is a lot of cringeworthy dialogue in this movie. Very generic, corny dialogue. So maybe it's not entirely the actor's fault. But let's talk about the child actors. Now, I know they're trying their best, and I know they're just children, but I also know that this kid cannot act. I hate to be mean to him, because as far as I know, this is his first big movie, but he's a child. He'll grow up, he'll learn more, unless he's one of those child actors that just disappears completely in 5 years. The dialogue that they gave him, he said so fast. Like, if the line was, "Shame on you for talking that way. Just because you don't feel good about yourselves doesn't mean you have to make fun of other people," which is an actual line in the movie. He says it like this: "Shame on you for talking that way. Just because you don't like everybody else doesn't mean you have to be mean to people." I couldn't understand half the things he said. Also, there's a sudden character change for him. If you've read the book or seen the movie, you know what I'm talking about. And he turns into a completely different person. And it's so laughable how they think that he can be considered to be an intimidating force. Who are the other two? There was this love interest guy. He was fine. And then there was this bully character who was in the Goldbergs and Girl Meets World. And she says stuff like, "I can see why your dad left you." But the lead, Storm Ray, she plays Meg. She's the main character. And she's surprisingly fine. Out of all the child actors, she was definitely the best. And she was even better in some of the more emotional scenes, which was surprising. So her character is very awkward and reserved, and she's great in that. I could see her playing a role like that in another movie. And then these strange things start happening to her, and she's almost unfazed by them. See, she sees a 50-foot Oprah in her backyard, and she's like, "Oh, this is a small problem that I had," but they play pop music as the songs in this movie, and I hate pop music, but that's not the problem. The problem is that it's so unfitting for the scene and the tone that it's in. Like, there'll be this really dramatic scene, the low point, everybody's so sad, and then they'll just have DJ Khaled play it in the background. I mean, I love myself some chubby Mexican rapper, but stay out of my movies, dude. I really wish I could go more in depth, but then we would be going into spoiler territory and this video would be 2 hours long. So if you like this movie, more power to you. I wish I did too. There are definitely good things about the movie, so I can definitely see why you would like it, and I'm not trying to make you agree with me, I'm just giving my thoughts on the film. But there are totally good things about it, like Giant Oprah. Just go see it for Giant Oprah. This movie gets a 9.9 out of 10. It would be a 10, but I mean, she doesn't say, "I'm getting too old for this" in the movie, so just a tiny problem. So 9.9 out of 10, would see it again. Just kidding, it's like a 4 out of 10.